Hi, I'm Mrs McTaggart. In this video we're going to look at the quadratic graphs of the form y equals ax squared. Now it's sometimes got a k as well. So our lesson intention is to be able to find the equation or the value of a. Alright, now the only information you're given in these questions is you're given a little picture and you're given a random coordinate somewhere for the graph. Now before I continue, let me just remind you of the most basic quadratic graph that we show you. This is the graph of y equals x squared. Now once we start to put numbers in front of it, it changes the graph slightly. So I'm going to show you what happens when I put a 2 in front or a half in front. So as you can see, when we put a number in front of the x squared, it alters the kind of width of the graph. The 2x squared looks a wee bit skinnier and taller, and the half x squared looks a wee bit wider. Okay, but remember all these graphs are continuous. I've only partially drawn them. So the number in front is just a constant. It doesn't change the movement of the graph at all. It just changes how wide it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a picture of a quadratic graph and we're going to ask you to figure out what that number is at the front, whether we've used a 2 or a half or something like that. Alright, and the only thing that I give you as information is I give you a coordinate. So here's my first example. These are really sneaky wee questions. They're only worth 2 marks, but they're dead simple if you remember this handy little tip that I've written down here. Anywhere or anytime you're given a coordinate in maths, you're given a value of x and y. Because remember, any coordinate can be labelled as x, y. And if you know one of those numbers or both of those numbers, you've got values you can sub in. Now, the one thing that it does give in the exam is it tells you that this equation takes the form y equals ax squared. Now, sometimes that a could be a k, right? But it's usually an a or a k. It really doesn't matter. Now, you'll see the only bit of information on this graph is that coordinate. So I'm going to label that coordinate as x, y. Then I'm going to replace x and y with those numbers. So y becomes 36 and x becomes 3 squared. So we've got a times 3 squared. Now 3 squared is 9, so you've got 36 equals 9a. So 9 times something is 36, or 36 divided by 9. Either way, that makes a the value of 4. Right? Now if the question just wants the value of a, you stop there, right? But I always think it's just handier to teach find the equation in case you want that extra wee bit. So that makes your final equation of this graph y equals 4x squared. And that would be your answer. Okay? Now just one thing to note, this was a smiley face, a positive x squared. I came out with a positive 4. Okay, so if you look at this one, you can see straight away it's a sad face kind of graph. So I'm looking for a negative to come out here to make it a negative x squared. Right, so again, I'm going to label my coordinate xy. I'm going to start by writing the formula y equals ax squared. Y gets replaced with negative 12 and x gets replaced with the number 2. So I've got 2 squared there. Now 2 squared is 4, so that gives me 4a. Minus 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. So a equals negative 3. So my final equation would be y equals negative 3x squared. So the negative comes out, which I'm expecting to make that sad face. So let's look at the recap for each of these ones. So for each question, step 1 is you're going to write the equation. You'll notice I've used a k here instead of an a. You label your coordinate and sub it in. You find what a or k is, and then you rewrite the equation. So I'm going to put a couple on the next slide for you to pause and try on your own, and then you can check your answers.